Dee Ann. It is a
Thank
pleasure to be here today to talk about the 20 years of heritage. And we're just lucky that schedules allowed for us to have this conversation today.
Yeah.
So can I ask you a little bit more about heritage?
Absolutely. I'm happy to. And I'd like to just start by saying I'm thrilled you're in that seat today to ask me the questions.
It's funny to me to think that people don't know this story already because I was such a direct audience to it. But I'm sure there's some of it that I didn't realize as it was happening. So if you don't mind, let's start at the beginning. What inspired you to launch Heritage?
Yeah, it really was a recognition that what I'd been doing in the early part of my career was building trust. And everybody knows that trust is, a magical thing that you earn and then you've got to keep earning it every day. And what it means, when you're really in a relationship with people where it feels like you're mutually aligned, like you want their success and they want your success. And I just felt that I could build on that in a way where I was able to help clients even more, be able to not just give them really good advice, but build a team of strong, solid professionals where we could execute. So we would be able to give the good advice and not have to send them off into the world to find somebody that hopefully would execute appropriately, but actually be able to do the things for them that allow them to, maximize wealth, take advantage of it in ways that make them feel good, all the things that are positive about really having a good plan.
Do you think of a particular, and obviously not the names here, but a particular client or a particular conversation that you had that really brought that to light for you, or an example?
I guess I would say it's probably a whole bunch of different experiences together where you begin to get a sense of how much people really are relying on you to be part of the family team. And I'll give one example because it was really meaningful. And this was after the firm was started, but I guess maybe I could think something like this might one day happen. And that was when a client sent me a picture of his family at one of his children's weddings, and all the grandchildren were there and everything. And he said, "Look at the picture. This is everybody who counts on you." And that was just so, like, in a way you would say, wow, that's a scary concept. I was so touched and would do anything for that family. And so that's something that I think is part of the reason we do it, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Absolutely. Did you have a moment when you were working through it in the early days when maybe you were getting that picture where you really felt like, oh, I've tapped into something and I think this is going to work?
I did. I mean, whether it's dumb luck, timing is everything, right? And I think it was really interesting that we started in 2005, and then everybody knows about the financial crisis that followed. So we were in this growth pattern, building, really thinking about the core proposition of what we were doing. We had that on our mind every day as we were building, like I said, this excellent team and the ability to execute and all of that. And the best thing that could have possibly happened for us was the financial crisis. And the reason is it really made us double down on what we were doing with people. And I just felt that if we showed up through that crisis in a way that was meaningful for our clients over and over and over again, that coming out of that, we would start to see more and more people wanting to be a part of a team that did that when times were really tough. And that's exactly how it played out. And so I did have a feeling, even though we were dealing just as everyone was with what does it mean? And wow, I just started a business and now we're having this gigantic crisis. But I didn't feel that way at all. I sort of felt like, yeah, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be helping people through this type of thing. And that's kind of when I knew we probably had something. Yeah.
It's interesting to hear that and know that at that time, that must have felt like a pretty big risk or scary at the same time that it felt as if you could see it.
Yeah.
And it's funny to look back knowing our family's commitment to the firm at that time and the way that you were working on this passion project.
Right.
And it's interesting to think about what an advisor like us may have given you in that moment.
Oh, gosh, that's good. I like that. One of the things that I've learned over time is the concept of sharing intellectual capital. So it's not just capital. It's not just your wealth. It's actually, a family unit that's strong. They have all kinds of other things that are helpful to build upon. Intellectual capital being one of those. And so I think what an advisor would have said to me is kind of lean even more into your family, have them help, have them be a part of it. And, like my hero, of course, is Jim Remo, always has been. And like his support, like, I don't know, there's just some people that can be that support person. And, he just always has. He loves the people who have been part of the team. He loves the clients. And so it was a family affair. It's always been. And it's been that sharing, I think, of intellectual capital also. That's been very, very helpful. And probably somebody would have pointed that out to me.
Right. Yeah. It's fun to have watched the firm grown and think about the values that have been there all along. I see it. Maybe I'll share a story of when I'd be in and out with the firm interning in high school. You and I laugh about me learning to parallel park down here in Shaka Slip. And one thing that I took with me even when I started my career, not with Heritage, right, was the storytelling of why you were doing something. I still remember sitting down and I'd been helping during one tax season. And even then, and there's been various people through the firm, but we were painting stories of our clients about who they were and what was important to them. And, here's their tax return and it's made up of a bunch of income from different causes that they're passionate about, that they might be helping in a little bit of way, or the life that they're building. And I don't think that's gone anywhere. I find myself sitting down with young staff, telling them about who the family is or who the individual is, what's important to them, why it's important, before then expecting them to, get me a tax return to review.
Right.
Are there other values throughout the firm that you think have been pretty constant since the start?
Yeah, like that one is, as you grow, the fear you have is you begin to fray away, right? You spend maybe a little bit from that central focus of what are our values, what is important. And that's a really good way to put it, talking about like making sure people understand the why behind they're doing something.
Yeah, there's an end, the client is a person and a human.
Yeah, and it'd be very easy in this business to say this is all about the investment portfolio and forget that it's really about how you're putting together the entire financial picture. And so I love the example with the tax return, because I think a lot of people would be disdainful of, oh, look, you're doing a tax return. It is critically important to execute, in a flawless manner across all of the different financial dynamics. But you're exactly right. You want to, like I feel like people in our firm can look at our clients' tax returns and they can probably build their balance sheet backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a tribute to how much we do value the deep knowledge and really understanding what's going on. So that storytelling, I think, goes on. I think that storytelling goes on.
Yeah. It's a lot of passion, not just from you as our founder and from our team, but a lot of our clients are very passionate about what they're doing, what they're building, what they're giving to or developing. And it's been fun to paint that picture a little bit behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, like one of the things that I had said, and we say it internally a lot, our clients across the board, they really do care about not just their wealth. They care about their families. They care about their communities. They are really thinking about what is the purpose of what we're doing here? What's the like? That is, I'm not saying we give a test before people come to be a client, but across the board, people really care and they want to be thoughtful about what they're doing beyond just accumulating wealth, but actually what it means to have the wealth, what it means to have a heritage, what it means to educate the next generation, all of the things that, mean that they're tied in to other components besides just themselves. And, I guess one of the things I would say is I almost feel like it's a club. It's not like it's an exclusive club, but it's a club of people who really have a good grasp of values themselves. And they're attracted, I hope, and I think to us because we overlap on those values. And so I feel like it's kind of a little bit of a club when you think about it that way.
Yeah, I agree. And so when you think of a club or otherwise, I mean, across our industry, the word legacy is one of the big buzzwords. It kind of sounded like just now you were speaking to legacy a little bit. Would you define it any differently or?
Yeah, I do. Like legacy is when you get focused, you know what you're going to do while you're here. And then you begin realizing, I'm not here forever. And that's across anything, whether you're working and then going to retire or, you're here on this planet and then you're not on this planet. So sooner or later, people do start to ask the question with even more gravity. What was this about? What is my legacy? And I do think that's an important question. I mean, I don't think people want to sit around and, fill out, like do too much like role playing or things like that about it. It's something that I think they think about when they're taking a walk in nature or when they're, alone with their loved ones and things like that. But then some of that comes back into us about really wanting to feel like they have a thread that will go on after they're no longer here. And some of that comes through their family and some of it comes through what they've done in the community. And so I do think it's a thing. It's more of a thing these days for people to be wondering, what am I leaving behind? And that's a real emotion.
How do you think about legacy when it comes to heritage?
Yeah, it's, we all know, I think I made the comment recently to someone, there's been reams of paper written about like when a founder leaves a business because of you keep using the word passion and because of the passion that a founder brings or whatever. But I don't know. I think it would be kind of a fun trick to say, hey, you can create something and then you found a whole bunch of people who care as much as you did, who want to carry it on and keep the excellence and keep the values and keep, what you were doing, even though the world will change. Yeah. And some of the things that we do will probably change over time. But I think the real trick is to make sure you don't accidentally forget it's not about you. It's about the people who are coming behind you.
Well, and you've been really good at not forgetting that.
I'm trying,
I get to see it a lot. And so yes, it's the clients, and we've talked a lot about that today, but it's the people too. Yeah. I see you come back to that a lot when we have difficult decisions to make or strategy conversations about the next step forward. And you seem to anchor yourself a lot in both what we're building as a service for our clients, but what we're building as a firm for people that are driven and intellectually curious who want to do better and are able to build a stable, steady life working with a team and a culture that they value. Yeah. So just for what it's worth, I see that in action.
Well, I really appreciate you saying it because it is the thing that is very motivating, along with being with clients, knowing that you've helped somebody understand something. And I was doing, I think some people know, like I'm sort of a closet like podcast listener on philosophy. And I was actually kind of refreshing a couple of philosophers over the weekend. And it was interesting how two different people really talked about the ability to understand or the desire to understand. So not just like doing something, but understanding it. And for a brief moment, I thought, that's the thing that's different about the people who really are good at the firm. They really want that understanding. So they don't just want to know how to do something. They want to understand how it flows out and like impacts everything else that they're doing. And when you see that, it is intellectual curiosity, and that's the way we define it.
Right. Yeah.
But when you see that snap of, I want to understand it so I can make all kinds of different, like have different thoughts about it, that's when I know somebody's going to really make it. That's probably who's coming behind me. The people who do that are going to be the ones.
Exactly.
That, yeah.
What excites you the most about that, about where we're heading as a firm?
I think it's more necessary than ever in the environment that we're in, and with the way the world changes so quickly, that people know that there are a team of people who are devoted to the depth of understanding, because it's a very complex world, and it's not going to get. I cannot visualize that we're just going to suddenly like have this lack of complexity. I think it's going to continue to feel like it's getting more and more complex. And so people do need help, and they do need to know that there are people who are committed to understanding at a very deep level and learning and doing all the things they need to do to be really good professionals. And then I also think it's a real thing for people to say, my family matters and my community matters. And I know I've said that a few times, but it's a real thing. And I think people will need a firm like ours even more in the future, not less. And so I just feel like you keep doing what you're doing. And sure, there's things that are going to change around the edges. But again, the core is the core. Mm-hmm. And it's just something that I think people will continue to value. And then you really have to be able to move down through the generations. Just like we're saying, what is it about me? Like, and what do I think about who takes my place? Well, everybody's got somebody stepping up. And so it's lovely to think, wow, you could help a family like really feel like there's this passage that happens, and yet everything's going to be okay. And then you have that next generation who actually likes you and wants to work with you and doesn't feel like it's all just about, like their parents. It's about them and what they're excited about.
It's one of the things I've thought about. How do you define, or how do we get better at talking about that as a measure of success? Not just retention, which is a word you could say about who's coming next, but really a deep collaboration where that person feels heard and valued and understood in that way, or they feel that level of understanding.
Yeah.
And as we've talked about, like, how do you measure success with our firm? Like, that's something that I think is an interesting way that we could look at it.
Yeah, I do think the advice I would give, of course, to all of you guys who are the next generation within our firm is you got to listen, and you got to be able to bridge, because, hey, while the older generation is there, they have things to teach, and they have earned the right to be able to say, here are things that are sort of non-negotiable with our family wealth. They've earned that right. But then if you can deeply listen to the people coming up and hear that maybe they're looking at investing through a different lens, through a different prism, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Right.
It can actually work, but you got to be able to listen on both ends very deeply. And then you have to start acting for the next generation.
Yeah.
And I do think our industry is a little frozen with that, because we still just want to revert maybe and not say, here's a way that we can start really doing things that are meaningful, that maybe matter differently to the next generation. And we can start executing on that and not have challenges with the family dynamics. And so it's a trick, but I think it's what good firms and good people and good professionals will do, is listen.